Hello everyone, and welcome. How are you today? In this video, I'll be your guide into a world far from marble palaces and triumphant togas. Together, we'll expose 10 brutal secrets of the Roman Empire that no history book dares reveal. These are not just facts. These are lived nightmares, whispered truths carved into the bones of those forgotten by time. Not fire, smoke, white, choking, alive. Promised freedom, loyalty, but they weren't fools. When the time came, they turned. Blades meant for rebels were plunged into Roman flesh. In the caves beneath the Palatine Hill, beneath Rome's very heart, patricians donned masks, drank blood mixed with wine, but Liber Pater was darker, and danced to drumbeats that pulsed like a dying heart. The Praetorians wore gleaming armor in public, but in secret, they operated under a darker code. Disloyalty wasn't punished with exile or death, it was erased. Fire arrows, soaked in pitch and sulfur, ignited even underwater. These were not weapons of war, they were weapons of terror. Used to poison village wells, to burn homes from the inside, to send a message. Rome does not forget. Few spoke of them. Fewer survived. Vitruvius left notes, barely legible, describing the arrowheads like fangs, dripping with hatred. Traitors were dragged to private arenas and left with beasts in the dead of night. No audience, no glory. She spoke in riddles, in Latin and tongues no one recognized. People came at night, mothers, senators in cloaks, legionnaires on leave. They didn't want truth. They wanted hope, curses, answers to questions they couldn't say aloud. Until next time, stay curious, and never, ever forget the price of empire. She asked for no coin only, a drop of blood on her stone. Then she whispered futures that cracked destinies open. Just the sound of claws on marble, and a scream no one would hear. And if a fellow Praetorian hesitated, he vanished next. The goal? Midnight marriages witnessed by slaves, signed in invisible ink. Patricians marrying provincial daughters for prophecy, not politics. A hidden dynasty, bred in silence, raised in shadow, trained for chaos. And when the empire trembled, they stepped forward, not as heirs, but as replacements. There are scrolls in the Vatican today, sealed, that hint at these pacts. Rome didn't fall, it was reprogrammed, rerouted, reshaped by vows made in the dark. Their loyalty wasn't earned, it was extracted, carved into the very fabric of fear. Or the echo of chains, the flicker of fire on stone walls, the scent of wine gone sour with fear. This was not an empire of gods, it was an empire of ghosts. Infants were brought as offerings, wrapped in fine linens, kissed, then lowered into cisterns. Rituals soaked in both perfume and horror. These weren't desperate acts of rural cults. These were Rome's elite, seeking divine power in blood-soaked wine. When Pompeii's ash settled, archaeologists found altars etched with verses invoking Liber's name and bones too small to belong to adults. For a moment, just a moment, there was hope. But hope dies fast under Rome. Survivors of Herculaneum in Pompeii described shadows moving just beyond sight, whispers rising from stone. A woman in Capua clawed her own eyes out, saying she saw her husband in the smoke, smiling, on fire. For months, madness spread like infection. Physicians tried bloodletting, exorcisms. Nothing worked. Scrolls from the school of Salerno tell of entire families locked away, wailing, convinced they were still burning. They called it the silent flame, a haunting with no gods and no cure. Half were crucified in a single day, nailed up along the roads like warnings written in blood. A centurion named Salvian led a campaign to eradicate it, but failed. Some say the plant fought back. Legionnaires vanished. The rest vanished shipped east, given new names erased. Beautiful, deadly. A single drop of its sap, introduced into an open wound, triggered paralysis, then silence. Entire patrols went still in the night, eyes open, breath gone. A merchant once sold a vial to a senator for the price of a villa. That senator's rival collapsed mid-sentence in the forum. These weapons weren't myths, they were sanctioned. But they didn't always work as planned. His mouth moved. Nothing came out. Their story survives only in whispers, scratched on a cellar wall in a forgotten villa in Britain. We rose, and they buried us. The scrolls detailing the fog's ingredients were hidden, classified. Roman ships once sailed into battles, cloaked in a fog conjured by chemists from Antioch, fumes laced with compounds that seared lungs from within. A soldier once wrote, "It felt like drowning in fire." At Salamis, the fog turned. Wind changed direction. Soldiers clawed at their throats. Some jumped into the sea to escape the smoke. Imagine a general preparing for war, only to be told that the gods disapproved. Entire cohorts died by their own empire's hand. Even today, their formulas remain a mystery. 1. The imperial augurs true power. You think politics today is twisted? In ancient Rome, the future of the republic could hang on the twitch of a bird's wing. The augurs didn't just predict omens, they manufactured them. Why? Because a chicken didn't eat the corn. Behind that absurd ritual was a calculated manipulation. The augurs were priests, yes, but also tools of senators and emperors. When Caligula waged war against the sea, everyone laughed. But those who knew, they saw the augur's fingerprints, redirecting madness for political theater. Every squawk, every feather, every crumb, they weren't signs from the gods. They were commands from men who pulled strings in the shadows. 2. The Antiochian alchemists curse. Close your eyes and breathe in. Can you imagine the taste of burning? 3. The slave alliance that sparked true rebellion. Picture a group of slaves, armed in secret, told they were helping the Republic suppress chaos. 4. Liber Pater's hidden cult. You've heard of Bacchus, the god of wine, ecstasy, madness. 5. The Herculaneum Syndrome. Post-eruption madness. Vesuvius did not just bury cities, it shattered minds. 6. The Praetorian Guard's Black Codidi protected emperors until they didn't. 7. Carpine's Tears. Deadly plant poisons in the edge of the empire. Near Noricum grew a bush with leaves that shimmered like dew. 8. Fire arrows. Rome's night weapons. Imaging watching the sky at night, and the stars begin to fall, except they scream. 9. The Sibyl of Suburane. The slums of Subura. Behind a butcher's stall, a woman sat blindfolded, breathing fumes from scorched laurel leaves. 10. The shadow marriage pactrum was obsessed with bloodlines. But when power became unstable, families forged unions in secret. So, what do you see now when you picture Rome? Temples and togas? If these truths unsettled you, let the algorithm know. Like, comment, subscribe, and tell me, what secret will you carry with you tonight?